Hi, welcome to Teaching Bites TV. This is Sharon Jaravata, and in today's Seesaw Quick Start video, I'm going to teach you how to set up your class, give you an overview of the different settings, and finally, an overview of the tabs you'll see on the main page, such as Journal, Inbox, Skills, Blog, and Activity. All right, let's get started. Here I've already created my own class, but you would create your own class by clicking Create New Class. You would import your students from Google Classroom or name your class and choose your appropriate grade level. If you're a specialty teacher, for example, music or art, you will want to click Other to help you with organization purposes. Okay. First thing you want to do is add students. So you click plus right here, and there are instructions for how to join your class. So these are instructions about how to join your class if your students have their own email addresses or their own Google accounts. They're going to open the app, Seesaw app, on any iOS or Android device, or you're going to go to the browser, Firefox or Chrome, and do that. They're going to click Choose I'm a Student, and then they're going to click, they're going to join with this code right here. Okay. Now, the more important thing to note is that today is October 30th, 2020. This code expires in a week. And the reason being is because Seesaw takes privacy and security very seriously. As you know, Seesaw has to do with students' information. Privacy, okay, is very important. So we don't want to share this code with anybody on social media. You don't want to broadcast this publicly. You want to put this on your internal LMS or perhaps email parents and things like that. Or if you're in, right now we're in distance learning. If you're in your Zoom class or your video conferencing app, you can just copy this code, or you can type it into the chat box and have your students join that way too. And then after that, they're going to sign in with their email address or their Gmail account. Now, if your students do not have an email account or Google account, then you're going to want to go here, and this setting shows you 3 different ways for students to sign in. Okay? If you have a class of shared devices, you want to use the class code. If you have a class of one-to-one devices, you can use a class code here. I'm going to click on that right here to show you what that looks like. And then now you can see the sign-in instructions have changed a bit. Step 1 and 2 are the same thing. However, step 3 is a bit different. You notice you have a QR code here, okay? And these do not expire. Now, this code expires in 1 hour. You see right here, expires 59 minutes, 36 seconds. So you're going to have to really be mindful of when you create this code and when you share the code with your students, okay? So they're going to either scan the code or type in the code themselves, okay? And they're going to pick their name from the list. So that's the way you join with a code, all right? You can also find the setting inside here, student sign-in mode, which we'll go over later on. But those are 2 places to find that, okay? Once you add students, then you're able to add families. So you cannot add families until you have your students join, okay? And families are a way for parents to see their child's work, all right? And we'll go over that. Okay, so we talked about adding students. Now here's the important part about the settings, okay? Here's another place you can add students, right here, okay? And these are your class settings, how you want to change it, all right? Now here we have student settings. Here you can manage your students. If I click on sample student, I can change their name. I can look up their student ID number. I can look at who their family members are. It's just a hub for that specific student. You can remove students, things like that. Okay. You can also, when you have your students, look them up by ID number as well. Now, for student learning codes, this is something that if you are currently in distance learning or learning remotely from home, um, you're going to need to use these home learning codes. It's a more secure way of accessing Seesaw because the other two previous ways I showed you, the one-to-one class codes and the shared device class codes, are only for if you are physically in person. Okay, so those should only be on campus. If you're going to log in with the Gmail account and Google email account, that's fine either way, whether you're distance learning or in person. But if you are in distance learning, you want to talk to your admin that is in charge of Seesaw accounts, as I don't have access to that, and they can set up the home learning codes and distribute that to families. So this is the same thing. Students can complete activities, they can view the journal announcements, and the students cannot see other students' work. Okay? And here's where you can download and print codes if you need to. You can also reset them if you need to as well. But definitely something to look into for distance learning. So when you see anything about student likes or comments, I highly recommend you refer to your school norms or your expectations. Maybe your whole school decided that they didn't want students to comment on work. But either way, if you choose to do that, I highly recommend you choose new comments require approval, just so that you can filter and look through ones that are inappropriate or not okay for your Seesaw account. Okay, so just take a look, and right now a lot of schools are in distance learning, so that's a great place for maybe you want to have your students comment on work, to have a way to share ideas, a way to get ideas too. So that's up to you. All right. Now, over here, this one, students can see each other's work. Again, that's up to your policy at your school or how you want to do it. Great way for students to compare and contrast each other's work maybe after the assignment has been submitted, to get ideas from each other. Highly recommend you keep this on so that everything that's uploaded or uploaded to Seesaw requires your approval, so that whatever the kids upload, you have to check it first. One advantage is that maybe it's something that's not related to school and they uploaded an accident, or maybe it's an assignment that the students have done but it's not finished or incomplete, right? So you have to send it back so that they can come back with their best work. And then over here, you want to make sure, if we go to item editing, this is again up to your what you want to do. This is enable item editing, so students can edit their drafts. Maybe you want them to go back and change their work. Okay. And then allowing students to edit who is tagged in posts. That's up to you again. And then over here, enable sample student. I highly recommend you keep this on, because over here, if you saw, I have sample student. Now, this is not a real student. This enables you to use your sample student as a playground, so that when you are assigning work or you're trying to play with settings and playing with the workflow of how to submit an assignment, or just seeing how it works, that whenever you assign it to just this student, it will not copy for the rest of the class. Okay? Because the last thing you want to do is assign something that wasn't intended for your class. So it's like a great way to draft items and just see how it works and just to play with it. Okay? So I recommend you use sample student. All right. And here is family access. So if you do not click that, then the parents cannot see their child's work, and we have to disable it. But Seesaw, is a great place for parents to see their children's work and they also can comment and like their children's work. So that's something that you want to consider when you're setting up norms for your class. And here you can invite families, just like we saw earlier, but you can't until you add the students. Going back here to the family settings, manage your families. You can, see who you want to invite, things like that. And then here's the pending family approvals. So this is something that you can see what's in the pipeline for approvals of work. And then here's the part I talked about with family sharing. Okay. So you have to look to see if you want parents to be able to comment on work. But if you do, keep that on so that you can look at the comments. Okay. Just to make sure it's appropriate. All right. So you can enable this or not. It's up to you. All right. And then over here, class blog. I enabled the class blog. So right now, Seesaw is a private, LMS, right? It's a place where students submit their work, a place you can give feedback, and a place where parents can see their children's work. It's only for those who you've joined. If you want to enable class blog, okay, you can see right here on the side, I have a blog one. Now this one is where you can actually just share this web address with the public, and anything that's in Seesaw, you can upload it to this blog. So this is again up to your school settings and privacy norms. But if something that you want to have like a public place for everyone to see the students' work, or maybe newsletters, things like that, that's up to you, and that's something that you can consider. Here's how you can post a student's assignment onto the class blog. So if I go to my sample students fall drawing activity, I go down here, I click the blog icon, it looks like a world. I click this, and it asks you to publish it. I'm going to click publish. And then if I go here to my blog, then I can see my assignment has been posted here. If I click on the URL, this is the view of what it looks like. So it just grabs it from the Seesaw account. And then you can look at the different students, the calendar, and then you have how many visitors. So great place, again, to post work publicly if that is what you would like to do. And then you can customize everything here on that. So if you disable class blog, then you will see that disappear on this side. Okay. So here, if I enable it, you can just click the different settings that you want to do. For example, students can post to the blog. You can show the folders if you want. You can enable the comments. You could password protect the class blog, which is great if you want more security. You can also look at the connected blogs, maybe for people in your school, but that's up to you. Folders are great. When you're grading work, for example, you want to make sure that you have everything organized, right? Like since we're distance learning right now, usually you have piles of like ELA work or math homework or social studies work, right? Or science work. You kind of know what they look like, but if it's digital, it gets really, really daunting to go through all the assignments, because right here in the journal, guys, I have one assignment right here, but you're going to see a big feed just like Facebook, and it's a running feed of work. And so it's important that you are able to organize everything in folders, okay? So that you can say, well, I have an ELA assignment, and I want to make sure I only check the ELA, right? And you can pre-tag it in Seesaw when you assign your students work, or you can have your students tag it as well, depending on your grade level. For lower grades, I recommend you pre-tag it first, pre-assign the folder. But older kids, you can definitely tell them. Now, if you're a specialty teacher, maybe you're an art teacher and you teach all the grades in your school, then you might want your own folder, because you don't want to worry about the rest of the subjects and all the assignments. You want to only see your art projects that your students have submitted to you. And here is where you can add folders. You can create the folder name. You could change the color. Okay. So that is something that I highly recommend you explore and set up for your class. All right. Going back to the settings. Here are the skills that I have not used before, but you can access the settings here. And you can also click here to add skills. Now, skills are a place where you can, tag assignments with certain standards to help you keep track of students' progress, right? It's report card time coming. It's parent-teacher conference time coming. And you want to make sure you've, organize the skills appropriately. So you can choose different colors. You can choose a different scale, a rating, right? So it's just for your grading purposes. You don't have to use it, okay? If you want to access your archived classes, you can click on this gear button and you can click account settings. And this is a place where you can actually change your own account, your name, things like that, right? And then your notifications. Do you want email notifications? You could change that on here. But here you want to click Manage Archive Classes. And so you could restore it and it comes back to the page. So it's always there. It's just not on the main dashboard here. All right, now I'm going to go over these 5 sections right here. A quick overview. And in the next videos, I will go deeply into these so you can get more detail. Okay, so here's journal. This is where you see all your students' work. So this is class journal. You see I have only one student has submitted one assignment, so I have one item. But imagine you have a class of 20 or 30 students. You're going to have all their work in a feed over here, right? And then you can click on sample student and you can see what they've done. So if you have a list of students right here and you want to see, has this student done their work? You could click on that student only, and then you could see only their work. Class journal is showing you a feed of everyone's work. Okay. And then over here, you can see the different settings right here, right? Different things you could do to it. So you can edit the post. You can do many things here on this post. Okay. Also here, I can comment on their work. Like, good job. Love the colors. And then I could post that, right? Here you can also, if you have co-teachers, and I'll go over that in a second, you can write a private note to any teachers in the class. You can say, Sharon needs to work on adding the background or something to keep with notes. This does not go to the student, okay? And then you could also just audio record it too. And that's pretty cool. All right. So if you want to add a co-teacher, then you could click here and you could type their email address. And then a teacher can join your class. And they have access to everything you have as well. And all the different capabilities too. Okay. So you can invite them to your class. And that could be a specialty teacher, maybe a teacher you teach with, maybe your admin, whoever wants to be in the class. That's a teacher. All right. And they have the same permissions as you do again. All right. Here you can click on, this is the skill we talked about earlier. You can tag a skill. Here you can make sure you put it in the art folder. Maybe it also counts as ELA because it's writing. And so I'm going to click that. And then you'll see it's tagged as art and ELA. Okay. And then you can also put this onto the class blog if you want. So this is where you click that so it's public onto the blog. All right. Activities. This is where you can assign activities like assignments to your students. You could do it 2 ways. You can find it through the activity library, which is right here. You click here, assign activity. Here's my library right here. Okay. This is where I've saved my things. This is my school's library. I can see what they've all done. And this is the whole Seesaw community where you can search by grade level and subject. So you could do that. Okay. You can also assign work by posting work through any of these methods. You could post a photo, a drawing, a video, put a link or a note, or upload it from any place on Google or your computer. So you could schedule, you could see what's scheduled, you could look at what's been archived, and you click calendar. So you can see I've assigned that fall activity today. Okay. Inbox, here you can write messages to students. You could write messages to families, or you can write messages to both students and families. So you click here. Oops, no, that's add. You can click here and you can send announcement. You can click whichever audience you want here. You can type your announcement. Hello. You could add your attachment, just like we saw earlier when creating assignments. These methods right here. And then you can send it out to them. Okay. And what's really cool is that when you send the announcement, you can also see who's read it, which is really cool. Here's the skills I talked about earlier, where you can add skills, things like that. And here's where you can do your blog settings and all that. Okay? So that's an overview, a quick start of Seesaw. You learn how to set up your account. You've learned the different settings, and you learn these sections over here. Now stay tuned for the next videos where I'm going to go deeply into how all these work. All right. Please share and subscribe if you like this. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.